proceed with the regular calendar. The first order of business being a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of May 24th, 2017. Do I have a motion?
Aye.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We may now proceed with the general manager's report.
Good morning, Board. I'd like to share with you this morning some operational updates for May 2017 under the heading or under the categories of work orders, vacancies, and customer satisfaction. And we'll be sharing with you some operational, other operational initiatives. For the month of May, there were approximately 145,000 outstanding work orders. As you can see, this has been a pretty standard, as we've established a platform about 145,000 over the last several months. Of this, 30,000 or so are related to paint, 20,000 related to plastering, about 25,000 are related to carpentry, and another 32,000 are vendors, of which the majority of those work orders are paint related. For the overview, for the month of May, we created about 234,000 work orders and about 221,000 were closed. As I've noted in several of the past boards, though, the good news on this is that when you look at May 2016, we have created more work orders. We've created about 20,000 work orders, and we've completed about 20,000 more work orders. So we are actually continuing even though we are creating more work through our more aggressive inspections and other things we're doing around FAS, et cetera, we're responding by doing more work. So this is the other side of this particular story. On the emergency work orders, we're down to 9.3 hours with our 24-hour goal. This is the lowest work order total that we've had in quite a while. You can see that the trending continues to go down. This is directly proportional to heating season. Unfortunately, this is going to start rising back up again in the fall, winter, but right now we're continuing to show a pretty dramatic decrease in our time to respond to emergency work orders. On the maintenance work orders, again, we're down to 4.6. This is the lowest total in over a year. This, I think, is one of the things that we're starting to feel the benefits of taking care of a lot of the old outstanding maintenance work order tickets. Now we're doing a lot more work order tickets in real time and not having the longer tickets contribute to the delays. On the skilled trades, again, in May, there were approximately a little over 73 days to respond to a skilled trade work order. Again, this is one of the most challenging parts of our overall operations, getting a handle on the planning, the logistics, the material management. But we are responding by piloting, having assigned staff go to particular sites, have a little higher coordination between one trade to the next trade, and making sure that we have materials that would be in place. One of the things that, again, which relates to the earlier slide, for skilled trades, the good news is in May of 17, we created 93,000 work orders and we closed 85,000. May of 16, we created 79,000 and closed 65,000. So again, that's about a 20,000. We're doing about 20,000 more work orders per month than we were doing a year ago. On apartment turnaround time, the turnaround time for May 17 was 58.5 days. We had completed 2,689 units since January. 438 of those units were off the rent rolls for more than 100 days, and with the average of 150 days. 2,251 of those were under 100 days, and we were doing those within 41 days. So again, this is something that we're starting to feel that if we can get rid of the backlog, the state of repair time from the time someone moves out to the time we can actually get someone back in should be about 40 days. That we can actually get to that point by the end of the calendar year.
Is that sustainable, you think, once you?
I think so. I think it's something that once we've established the kind of a rigor and around And because it's not just the work, it's the marketing piece of it. We actually have a lot of our sites are, believe it or not, despite our waiting lists, are difficult to market. But in terms of just on the break and fix part of it, on the rehab part of it, I think we're really starting to get our chops down now.
So marketing because of the location of the unit, location.
Yeah, that's some tougher areas.
Yeah, sure.
On customer satisfaction, we continue to have about a 80% response to our various robocalls about customer satisfaction. A couple operational upgrades. I want to share with you that under our sustainability, under sustainable and safety, under sustainability, a major initiative that we're doing in partnership with Con Ed. Con Ed contributed about $5.6 million toward the cost of replacing our lighting as one of the foundations to our sustainability initiative. What this has done is to replace regular light bulbs with light bulbs that are energy efficient, which will generate about $1.6 million a year of reduction in our annual operating costs. And it's the first phase here is targeting about 36,000 residents. And for Mother Nature's purposes, we'll be reducing carbon dioxide emissions by about 6,500 tons. So this is just really just part of a larger initiative that the board will be hearing more and more about. The month of June is National Safety Month. We have been looking at employee safety and resident safety, and along with resident safety, we want to share a little bit about our camera installations. As part of the mayor's action plan for neighborhood safety, there's been about $140 million been allocated for security enhancements. This is the layered access where it's the doors, it's the lighting, it's the cameras, and that we continue to make this, working with the New York City Police Department, one of the kind of foundations to our larger safety efforts. And finally, in terms of sharing with you, one of the true success stories, I think, of this current administration is how we've approached our heat and hot water, particularly over heating season. Heating season is October 1st through May 31st. And this particular season, what we did, we're starting last year about this time, we underwent a summer overhaul, which meant looking at preventive maintenance at almost 2,000 boilers, 2,000 hot water tanks, 1,300 vacuum tanks, and 650 condensation tanks. And what that has done is start to, and what we've done in that is we're real super nuts, drain everything out, weld, do the conditioning, making sure that all the things are oiled and lubed and ready to go. And supplementing that with looking at information technology improvements around having the residents be able to report things and for us to talk to each other better and to have the devices themselves with remote sensors, et cetera, to let us know when things are breaking, has now produced a 68% reduction in boiler outages from May compared to a year ago. A 4.8 hours is our the reduction in the average response time to complete a high priority. So we're getting to things almost 5 hours faster. And it's a 50% reduction in the number of developments with mobile boiler rentals. What that translates, what that's saying is that things are breaking less. We're less reliant on our mobile boilers. We don't have a whole lot of metrics around this yet. This became a good sort of benchmarking exercise for us this last boiler season. Our full expectation is a year from now, when we start to share our accomplishments around heat and hot water, we can actually benchmark them against this year's performance. But we are starting right now with the type of overhaul efforts that we get.
I just have one question. It sort of has something to do with this, but it sort of doesn't. Due to the budget constraints, of course, we're seeing problems or concerns arising everywhere in the authority. But our concern is this: when they're doing all these budgets, shall we say, for the development, especially when it comes to staffing, which will help with the work tickets along the way. Are they looking at this and then re-looking at the staffing and the budget? Because you had a budget at one time which worked with this many, so to speak, staff. Now that the budget has changed, Are they looking to maybe revamp the amounts that are going to be placed on the budgets of the management office, especially those that are mixed finance?
Mhm.
Something to look at.
Well, absolutely, and it's something that we continue to look at. One of the things I think that's been one of the quiet success stories, operations and finance working together this year, has created the opportunity to reduce the number of management positions,
Right.
to increase the number of custodial and caretaker positions dramatically. And so that's the kind of thing we're talking about is the pot will not get bigger. Frankly, the pot's going to get smaller. But as we look at technological advances and as we look at next generation operations and really giving empowerment to the sites, we'll have a better ability to make those kind of real time course adjustments to ensure that we have staffing that can meet the demands of the residents.
I mean, I understand the budget's gonna go down, but you'll have more staff. So in that aspect, it'll help better with the work tickets as far as the repairs and the time that it will take.
Yeah, that's the goal.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Okay.
That board completes the report of the general manager.
Thank you. We may now proceed with the 28 calendared items. Items number 1, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Karen Caldwell, CFO for NYCHA, and I'm presenting item number 1. 1, request authorization for the approval of investment transactions that were performed by the authority's Treasury Department for the quarter ended March 31, 2017. These transactions were performed in accordance with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Office of Public and Indian Housing, PAIH 2002-13. The report outlines the authority's cash and investment position and provides a brief overview of operational changes in cash, changes in investments, and provides current and historical rates of return on the authority's investments as a measure of investment performance. We close out the first quarter with a net portfolio decrease of $43,433,902 from the prior quarter. The executive summary portion of the report outlines the major categories of cash inflow and outflow affecting the changes in investments during this quarter. We thus ended the quarter with an investment portfolio of $1,309,160,449, which excludes fiscal agent investments and other cash balances totaling $196,772,915, largely comprised of Sandy recovery funds and energy performance contract funds that are held in escrow. During the first quarter of 2017, the authority earned $2,794,626 in income, representing an annualized rate of return of 95 basis points, which exceeds a comparable benchmark 3-month Treasury bill rate of 53 basis points and a 12-month Treasury bill rate of 82 basis points. For the 12-month period, interest earned on investments totaled $9,631,756, representing an annualized rate of return of 75 basis points, which exceeds the comparable 3-month Treasury bill rate of 28 basis points and the 12-month Treasury bill rate of 57 basis points. Thus, we recommend that the members of the board approve the authority's first quarter investment resolution report. Any questions?
I have one.
Sure.
And this is more of a personal thing.
Mhm.
I'm having a senior moment. So
Okay.
can you HAPS subsidy? What does the HAPS stand for?
It's I don't know what necessarily housing assistance.
It's
Somebody
just
help me.
Housing payment.
Right, payment.
Okay,
Right.
that's all I needed to know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Again, representing item number 2. So authorization is requested for item number 2 to approve the authority's fiscal year 2016 financial statements. As a recipient of over $750,000 in federal funds, the authority is required to issue annualized financial statements within 9 months of the end of its fiscal year. We are seeking the board's approval to issue the annual financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2016. The authority issues annually a complete set of audited financial statements comprised of statements of net position and the related statements of revenue, expenses, and changes in net position, and statements of cash flows, and the related notes to the financial statements, presented in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States. Included with the financial statements is management's discussion and analysis, a narrative overview, and an analysis of the authority's financial activities to be read in conjunction with the financial statements. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements. The audit was performed by Deloitte & Touche for the purpose of forming an opinion on the financial statements that collectively comprise the authority's basic financial statements. Deloitte & Touche issued an unqualified opinion on the audited financial statements. On May 18th, and at a follow-up meeting on June 14th, the audited financial statements were presented to the authority's audit committee. Based on the presentation, the authority's audit committee recommended board approval for the issuance of these financial statements. Any questions? Thank you so much.
Good morning. My name is Trisha Roberts. I'm the Director of Internal Audit here at the New York City Housing Authority. Today, I'm here to present Resolution Number 3, requesting an authorization to approve the issuance of the authority's fiscal year 2017 internal audit plan in accordance with the Institute of Internal Auditors standards for the professional practice of auditing and as recommended by the authority's audit committee. During January 2017, the authority's Department of Internal Audit performed an enterprise-wide risk assessment process to identify the potential adverse events that may have an impact on the authority's ability to achieve its strategic and financial goals. This engagement led to assisting executive management in understanding the key business risks, presenting an impact in the organization, as well as defining management's oversight and accountability of the risk profile and ensuring controls are mitigated for the intended risk. The feedback from the exercise led to developing the 2017 NYCHA internal audit plan, which will review critical systems, management controls, as well as perform more effective and efficient audits and assessments to provide executive management with recommendations that approve the assessment to improve the key controls of the authority and add value to the authority's business operations. On April 11, 2017, the Department of Internal Audit presented a draft of the 2017 NYCHA Internal Audit Plan to the authority's audit committee, which included a review of its plan prior to, and also reviewed the enterprise risk-wide conducted, highlighting the authority's risk culture, appetite, as well as how the internal audit process planning took place. Based on the presentation, the authority's audit committee recommended board approval for the issuance of the 2017 NYCHA internal audit plan. At this time, we recommend that the members of our board approve the 2017 internal audit plan presented in your behalf. Are there any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Louis Ponce, Senior Vice President of Operations for Support Services. I'll be presenting the items for 4 through 12, and I'll come back for one more after, in case you forgot who I was. Item number 4 is a request to enter into agreement with Cladder Controls Corporation for the purchase of software upgrades and the installation of that software on 217 elevators at 18 developments in the authority. This contract is a sole source contract. The software upgrades are going to be done on the controllers of these elevators. The controllers are kind of the brains that tell the elevator what to do, when to stop, when to go, what floor to go to. I brought a similar board request in the past. The main object of this was to allow the elevator, if the elevator brakes do not release when the car leaves the floor, that the elevator will shut down. What we've incorporated into this set of upgrades is also to compliance with 2020 code that the Department of Buildings is establishing in New York City. The 2020 code for elevators says that all elevators in New York City will have to have a door lock monitoring system, meaning that if there is a door open on any floor besides the floor that the elevator is on, that the elevator will not move. Right now, that can be overcome. People can jump it if there's a short in the system. So this software upgrade will allow those elevators not to move if they realize that for some reason the elevator is not positively closed. The contract is this is a 1-year contract, though we expect that all the software installations will be done before the end of this year. It's for $669,250. Any questions? Okay.
So a quick question, why was this sole sourced?
Because it's the software that does the controls of the elevators. So if another company would make changes, there would be liability if something happens.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Understood. Thanks.
No problem. Item number 5 is a elevator parts contract. It's with NYCHA Electronics Limited. Those two companies are affiliated. It's different. One is the parts and one is the software portion of it, as with item number 4. It's a 3-year contract. This is just to supply the parts to our elevator staff to do repairs and installation on them. It's for 3 years. It's $1,709,993. NYCHA Electronics Limited has provided about $2.3 million worth of these parts goods in the last 5 years satisfactorily to the authority. Any questions? Okay. Item number 6 is request for approval to enter into a contract with ATC Group Services. This is a 2-year requirement contract with a 1-year renewal option. This is the first time the authority is using a vendor to do our do the lead inspection where there's presumed lead-based paint in our developments. This will cover 87 developments and 135 FHA homes who are required to annually check the paint condition within the apartments to make sure that it's intact, that it's not accessible for children to get to that paint. 8 bids came on this one. This bid actually came in much lower than our estimate. This bid came in at about 45% of what we had estimated. We estimated, because this is a new contract, there was nothing to really estimate it against. We used ATC and other environmental vendors' work, similar work they had done to estimate it. Because this is an inspection contract, there is no prevailing wage. So it is difficult to estimate it. ATC, we brought ATC in to justify their bid. They showed us they already have 31 qualified inspectors, so that's going to save on the startup cost, and they have proven that they can do the contract for this price. So we'd like to take advantage of the lower price and get approval to go forward with this. Okay. Item number 7. Item number 7 is a 2-year contract with High Tech Air Conditioning Service Corporation. This provides for preventive maintenance and repair of the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system at Police Service Area Number 6. The PSA is pretty much a police precinct for the Housing Bureau. The Housing Authority owns 6 of these standalone buildings where the police are in. Part of our responsibility as a landlord is to maintain the HVAC systems. So we have to have contracts in place just to do the preventive maintenance to avoid failures for the heating and the air conditioning system. There was only 1 bid on this contract. We asked contractors why they didn't bid. The system there is complicated. It's about a 6-story building. It takes a whole block. Other vendors were reluctant to bid on it. It was also a little outdated. It's pretty much at the end of its useful life, so they didn't want to bid on it. This also came in lower than our bid, 36% lower. We again brought High Tech in. We have worked with High Tech in the past. They've done about not much, $50,000 worth of work for us in the past 5 years. They have been a good vendor. We estimated it. We suspected that the vendor, because it was complicated, would have to subcontract out work to another bidder, and there would be some markup on that. High Tech is a large enough company that they can do the work themselves, so they can realize that the savings on those, and we'd like to take advantage of the savings and go forward with this contract. Okay. Items number 8 through 12 are similar. I would like to present them all at one time. This is our contracts for the repair, testing, and alterations to fire alarm systems by the company is American Securities Operating Company, LLC. We have 7 contracts citywide for fire alarms. This is 5 of them. The other 2 contracts have enough capacity to bring us over into the new contracts that are going to be awarded. What happened here, why we're asking to invoke the 50% clause, which is allowed under the original contracts, is that we bid these contracts. The authority is moving towards project labor agreement contracts on most of our contracts that have a construction aspect of them, because this is not only testing, there's also a repair part of it. It had to be bid under the new rules for PLA. PLA are pretty much a union contracts, so sometimes they pay their workers higher than prevailing wage. They also have more benefits, so they came in a lot higher than we had expected. So what we're going to do with these contracts is we're going to separate the inspection from the repair. Also kind of keep the inspection a little more honest. We've done this in other fire safety contracts. So on the inspection contract, we should realize lower costs because there is no prevailing wage. And we will have to probably pay a little higher to do the repairs in the future. So the new contracts have been submitted. I don't have a date when they will be awarded, but we probably won't use the entire length of this contract. Once the new contract's in place, we'll cancel these for convenience and go forward with the new ones. So just a summary of these cover Bronx North, Manhattan South, Brooklyn South, Staten Island, Brooklyn East, and Brooklyn West. Just the Bronx North is 300. The amount we want to increase on all of these, I'll just go to them quickly. Bronx North, $389,920.45. Manhattan North is $431,211.30. Manhattan South, $374,015.48. Brooklyn South and Staten Island, $400,887.53. Brooklyn East and West is $376,715.70. We have done about $14.7 million worth of work with this company, American Securities Operating Company, within the last 5 years, and they have done satisfactory work for us. Any question on those? Okay, I'll see you in a minute.
Good morning. My name is Brian Clark. I'm Senior Vice President of Operations for Property Management, and I'll be presenting items 13, 14, 15, and 16 this morning. Item 13, we are requesting to reject 71 requirement contracts for apartment painting. The reason why we are requesting to reject the bids is that the Department of Labor had posted a incorrect prevailing wage chart. It was actually, it was correct at one time, but it was outdated. Some of the vendors that bid on the work were aware of this and bid based on the current, the correct prevailing wage, which was more, and other vendors did not. They bid based on what was posted. So we reviewed this, felt that it was unfair, and in the best interest of the Housing Authority to rebid these contracts. So we're rejecting these, and items 14 and 15 are actually related because we need to maintain services because it's going to take us some time to actually rebid this work. So item 13 is rejection of all bids for 71 requirement contracts is recommended in the best interest of the authority. These requirement contracts will be rebid. Item 14, we are requesting to make a change order and ratification to 48 maintenance painting contracts. These are for consolidation, so they actually cover more than 48 developments. The general manager had mentioned before about the large number of painting work orders that we have open, and this is certainly going to help us, address those work orders. The work is done in both vacant and occupied apartments. Authorization is requested to ratify a change order to 48 requirement contracts awarded to 14 vendors for maintenance painting of apartments, which did not require initial board approval and as subsequently amended for an initial one-year term with 1 6-month renewal option to extend the requirement contract's term for an additional 1 year and increase the not to exceed amount in order to close existing and projected work orders. Okay. Thank you. Item 15. Once again, this is also a change order ratification for 2 contracts so that we can continue to provide painting services. Authorization is requested to ratify a change order to 2 requirement contracts awarded by 2 vendors for maintenance painting of apartments, which did not require initial board approval and is subsequently amended for an initial 1-year term with 1 6-month renewal option to extend the requirement contract's terms for an additional 1 year and increase the not to exceed amount in order to close existing and projected work orders. Yes.
Just a curious question. will this, vendors, with the vendors doing the painting in the apartment, will this help the workers that we have that are going to do some of the work? Like if it's one room or 2 rooms, the stuff that we can do, that won't affect any of that.
Yes, so so typically the way that we assign vendor work, so first off, when an apartment is vacated, it's empty, we typically, will assign that work to a vendor. We feel it's more cost effective for us to do that. And then for occupied apartments, if the entire apartment or more than 2 rooms needs to be painted, we'll typically send it to vendor. Our painters will usually handle 1 or 2 room jobs, or if it's a painting after repair where it's only, we have to paint just the affected wall or ceiling. Okay. Item 16, I'm really, believe it or not, really excited about item 16. These are for floor maintenance machines, which are for the majority of our properties is going to take mops out of the hands of our caretakers. Right now, our long hallways and our large lobbies are done by hand with mops for our staff. So we really are taking a step forward with technology. It's going to help us be more effective and more efficient. This contract will provide floor maintenance machines for the majority of our properties. We do have some walk-ups that are small that don't require this type of equipment, but certainly for our conventional properties, we are going to be getting different types of equipment. We are going to get washing machines that actually will wash the floor. Then we have buffing machines that will do spot buffing, where there's areas that need to be buffed out. We have a chemical-less stripping machine. So that's really the key to get that shine to the floor. We no longer have to use harsh, hazardous chemicals for the stripping. It's actually an oscillating machine that almost kind of like sands the surface in very fine, particulate matter. And what this is going to enable us to do is, and we also have machines that'll help us maintain stairwells better as well. It's called a Kaivac machines. These machines come with the batteries come with a 1-year warranty, parts and labor 2 years, and just parts 3 years. Different machines have different warranties, but in general, those are the conditions of the warranty for the majority of the equipment. We also did a cost benefit analysis, buy, lease, rent for the equipment, and we found that purchasing the equipment was the most cost effective way for procuring it. Saved us about $1.5 million over leasing. And rental was very costly. It was almost $20 million to rent the equipment. Each one of those, the lease agreement and as well as the renting agreement had limitations on hours of work, things along those lines for the equipment. So we really felt that this was the best way for us to go. In order to do this analysis, we made an assumption that there was a 5-year useful life for the equipment. We do believe it may extend beyond that, but we used 5 years for really to do this analysis. Okay. Authorization is requested to award this requirement contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, W.W. Granger Incorporated. The first lowest bidder, Kirby Industrial Supply Limited, was deemed non-responsive for failure to bid on the class award. All right, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Ms. Ponce, I'll be doing number 17. Number 17 is a request to approve an increase in the not to exceed amount with American Securities Operating Company LLCs for they provide material, service, labor to repair existing intercom systems. This covers Queens and Staten Island. Similar to the other ways we divide the city geographically, there are 7 contracts that repair intercoms. If a resident calls that their intercom isn't working, we would send a maintenance worker. Maintenance worker will check for if there's something minor that they can do. If not, the whole city is covered with various contracts that cover intercoms. Queens and Staten Island has used their allocation of the contract more quickly than we had expected. We actually have new contracts coming out to bid on July 20th. The other 6 contracts have enough capacity to make it until the new contracts are awarded. So with the contracts, when they're awarded, there is a clause that we can increase the cost by 50% in 1 year. We need to invoke this clause just to have coverage until the new contract is awarded. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Deborah Goddard, EVP for Capital, presenting items 18 through 24. Item 18 is a recommendation to reject all bids associated with the kitchen and bathroom renovations at Isaac's Houses and Homes Tower, their community centers. The first lowest bidder, Intercontinental, failed to submit the letter of assent with respect to their subcontractors in the PLA. The second low bidder came in at slightly over 65% greater than our estimate. Just to note, the first low bidder came in within the 15% variance, so we are recommending rejection of all bids. Item 19 is the recommendation to award contract for the replacement of underground water and fire line distribution piping at various developments in Brooklyn and Staten Island. The award would be to JCC Construction Corporation in an amount of slightly over $20 million. Again, this is to replace underground piping, water, fire line, and sewer on various developments as needed. JCC's work for us has been satisfactory. Their VNC is pending, and there will be no award until a satisfactory VNC is issued. The bid variance here was just a bit over 15% higher than we estimated. We believe that the difference is a lack of cost efficiencies because this is task order based, so it's emergency task order based. They are proposing 2 Section 3 hires. Item number 20 is the recommendation to award a contract for the restoration associated with the Sandy Recovery Program to Adams European Contracting, Inc. in the amount of almost $116 million. This is in connection with the comprehensive renovation at Gravesend. It includes new electrical, mechanical, above sea level rise, CCTV, roof restoration, site restoration. It's the comprehensive restoration. Adams is a women-owned business, has had a satisfactory record with us, but again, their VNC is pending, so there'll be no award until the satisfactory VNC is issued. You're seeing a pattern here. This bid variance is about 26% higher than our estimate. Again, a third different CM firm estimate. And as I mentioned last month, we are taking a look at going forward, tightening up our estimates a little bit. We also have a quarterly meeting of the Intra-Agency Engineering Council coming up, where we'll find out what's happening with other agencies. They are proposing 11 Section 3 hires. No questions. I will move to item 21, which is the recommendation for an award to Zaur Babuyan DBA Dynamic Construction Company for a contract in connection with the playground at Hewitt Place grounds. The contract value is slightly over $1 million. This playground, the equipment is original. It's 30 years old and is simply a replacement of tired equipment. This is funded by City Capital at the allocation by Council Member Salamanca. The contractor is a minority-owned business. They haven't done business with us, but they've done business with other city agencies, and it's been satisfactory. The VNC has been issued with no issues to conclude award. They're proposing 5 Section 3 hires. Item 22 is recommendation to award a contract to M. Boyan Construction Company, Inc., not the same company as this previously in item 21, in the amount of slightly over $1 million for playground improvements at Millbrook and Douglas Houses 2. Again, replacement at both developments of the playground equipment. The contractor, Boyan, is a minority-owned business and has done work with us and has been satisfactory. We should note that the first lowest bidder, Innovative Construction and Management Company, was deemed non-responsive for failure to submit a bid bond. VNC has cleared, no issues to preclude award, and they are proposing 2 Section 3 hires, also City Capital. Item 23 is a recommendation to approve a third increase to the contract for AE services for Sandy work at Red Hook East and West to the firm of Cohn, Peterson, Fox, and Associates. Red Hook East and West, as you might imagine, are our largest recovery projects. This increase relates to a request from the agency to Cohn, Peterson to modify the design of the waste management system, which was not going to be funded by FEMA, increasing the design flood elevation criteria, and revisions to the centralized boiler and power plants, which will actually result in a net savings on the capital cost. The requested increase is about $1.1 million. This is reimbursed by FEMA and/or CDBG DR funding. Item 24. Item 24 is a recommendation to award contracts 3 agreements for pre-apprenticeship training and placement services in connection with the Sandy work. As you may know, we've been doing a lot. We have a very concerted effort to work with the trades in terms of hiring, focused hiring on NYCHA residents at the Sandy affected developments. This would be contracts funding up to 100 apprenticeship positions in the state's certified apprenticeship programs, in a value of up to $1.4 million total to assist the authority's existing apprenticeship training. And the services we are purchasing through here are recruitment of NYCHA residents, assessment of their skill and best placement for training, pre-apprenticeship training, and then placement services. We are recommending awards to the bidders in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th lowest bid categories. They are non-traditional employment for women, pathways to apprenticeship, rebuilding together New York City. The highest ranked proposal was submitted by the New York District Council of Carpenters Apprenticeship Journeyman Retraining Educational and Industry Fund. They've asked to have their bid withdrawn. That's being reviewed by legal and procurement. So at this point, we don't want to delay this anymore. We're going forward with the 2nd through 4th. We may be back again to you around a further award. Any questions? Yes.
The program that you have for the apprenticeship, is it going to be put on the website as well?
Yes.
Okay. And what about for those that don't have computers? Will they be posted in the management offices?
Yeah, Office of Recovery has a very strong, dedicated outreach staff. And so we'll be using them in table meetings, community meetings, as well as flyering.
Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Bob Morano, NYCHA's Chief Information Officer. This item is requesting authorization to enter into an agreement with Interface Cables and Assembly Services Corporation, or ICAS for short. ICAS will provide cable and wireless infrastructure maintenance and support throughout all of NYCHA's 2,600 buildings. This infrastructure is used to maintain connections between devices such as PCs, printers, CCTVs, boilers, elevators, back to NYCHA's network and to back-end systems like Maximo, Siebel, and email. In the next few years, NYCHA will be using this contract to replace thousands of wireless bridges used to support boilers and elevators and CCTVs, as well as general support of our current infrastructure. Therefore, we are requesting authorization to enter into a 3-year agreement with ICAS in the amount of $4,460,300. Any questions? Thank you.
Good morning, Vice Chair, board members, Assistant Corporate Secretary, and General Manager. My name is Kelly McNeil. I am the first Deputy General Counsel of the Law Department. I will be here to present items 26 and 27. The New York State Freedom of Information Law, Public Officers Law, Article 6, otherwise known as FOIL, authorizes the governing body of each public corporation to promulgate uniform rules and regulations pertaining to the availability of records and procedures to be followed regarding public access to those records. The rules and regulations at NYCHA require updating to further enhance the authority's openness and transparency to reflect advances in technology and to afford flexibility regarding public inspection and copying of available records. The law as may be necessary or appropriate in the best interest of the authority or of the public. And to that end, item 26, authorization to repeal Board Resolution 91-10/9-30 and 2, promulgate rules and regulations governing public access to authority records. Are there any questions? Item 27, authorization is requested to appoint Alexandra DeFresco as the Records Access Officer of the New York City Housing Authority with the authority to delegate her duties, the duties in her absence.
Did we not have someone in this position before, or is she taking someone else's place?
No, she's been in the position, but we're bringing the request to appoint her now.
So she already holds the position?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now I'm confused. So if she already holds it, then why are we? She's being promoted, but she's already in the position. I don't
Right.
quite understand.
Okay. When we were updating the procedures and policies, this is one of the items that needed updating. So we're bringing the matter to you now. Any other questions? Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Carrie Jew, Executive Vice President and Chief Administrative Officer. Today, I'm presenting Board Resolution 28, which seeks to amend the contract between the authority and Language Line Services, Inc. for over-the-phone foreign language interpretation services. Language Line Services provides over-the-phone foreign language interpretation services from a caller's source language to English to allow the caller to conduct business through the authority's customer contact center. Services are performed by professional and experienced interpreters who possess demonstrated proficiency levels, which is that of a highly articulate, well-educated native speaker reflecting the cultural standards of the country where the language is natively spoken. Services are available for over 200 languages, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. HUD and New York City require the authority to provide this service in order to permit limited English proficient individuals to access essential or emergency services provided by the authority. By way of background, the authority entered into an agreement with Language Line Services in July 2013 for an initial 3-year term with 2 one-year renewal options and a not-to-exceed amount of $2,160,000. On March 30th, 2016, the authority exercised its first 1-year renewal option to extend the term of the agreement through July 30th, 2017. The board authorized increasing the not-to-exceed amount by $1,080 for a total not-to-exceed amount of $3,240,000. This amendment to the Language Line Services Agreement will enable the authority to continue to provide over-the-phone foreign language interpretation services for our customer contact center and to expand the service to our development management offices. Today, I'm requesting authorization to amend the agreement with Language Line Services to increase the not-to-exceed amount by $1,618,000 for a total not-to-exceed amount of $4,858,000 in order to fund the second 1-year renewal option for the continued provision of services commencing on July 31st, 2017 and continuing through July 30th, 2018. Any questions?
Mr. Vice Chair, 28 items were presented for board approval and 28 items were approved. May I have a motion to approve the items?
So moved.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? There being no other business before the board today, may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you got your wish. We're coming back.